You slept with someone new last night, and this morning you're lying there staring at the ceiling, and something is wrong. Not wrong like regret. Wrong like the weight in your chest is heavier than it was before she got there. Everyone told you this was the move. Get back out there. Get under someone to get over someone. So why does it feel like you just made things worse? If you're a man between 20 and 40 who just went through a serious breakup and you tried the rebound and it didn't fix anything, this video is for you. Not because something is wrong with you, but because nobody is telling you the truth about what's actually happening inside you right now. There's a concept that's been circulating lately, the bad pancake theory. The idea that your first attempt after a breakup is always a little burnt. That you have to make the bad pancake before you can make a good one. Gen Z picked it up and ran with it, and honestly, there's something true in it. But here's what the trend misses. For men especially, the bad pancake isn't just awkward. It can actually make the grief worse. And there's a reason for that. A reason that has nothing to do with weakness and everything to do with how male grief actually works, which is almost nothing like how we've been told it works. Here's the thing most people get backwards. When a relationship ends, women tend to fall apart first. The immediate pain is visible, loud, shared. Men, on the other hand, often look fine. They go to the gym, they text back quickly, they say they're good, and for a while they almost believe it. But a 2024 study on breakup recovery patterns found something quietly devastating. While women report higher immediate distress, men struggle significantly more with long-term recovery. The grief doesn't disappear, it just goes underground. Think of it like a delayed detonation. The bomb went off when she left, but the shockwave, the real damage, doesn't hit until later. And what often triggers that shockwave? The rebound. Because the rebound is the first moment of quiet intimacy after the loss. And quiet intimacy is exactly where suppressed grief lives. Let me tell you about Marcus. He was with his girlfriend for 4 years. When it ended, he handled it the way he'd been taught to handle things. He kept moving. He went out. He matched with someone on an app within 2 weeks. She was kind. She was attractive. They had a good time. And for about 3 weeks, Marcus genuinely thought he was fine. Then one night, lying next to this new person, she laughed at something on the phone. And it sounded nothing like his ex. And that difference broke something open in him that he hadn't even known was sealed shut. That's not a story about Marcus being weak. That's a story about what happens when grief has nowhere to go. And for men, there are very few places society says grief is allowed to go. We grow up hearing things like man up and don't be soft and she wasn't worth it anyway. And those phrases don't just shape how we talk, they shape how we feel. Or more accurately, how we don't let ourselves feel. A 2025 study confirmed that men are significantly more likely to use distraction, including new relationships, as their primary coping mechanism after a breakup. Not because they feel less, but because they've been taught that feeling is a liability. And here's where the rebound becomes a trap. A 2026 report found that 36% of men enter rebound relationships specifically to reclaim confidence after a breakup. Not connection, confidence. Which means from the very beginning, the new person isn't really a person to them. They're a mirror that's supposed to reflect back the version of themselves they lost when she left. And that's not fair to the new person, but it's also not fair to you, because you can't actually find yourself in someone else's reflection. That's not how identity works. That's not how grief works. And deep down, some part of you already knows this, which is why you feel like a fraud when it's going well, and like you're drowning when it's not. Now, I want to be honest with you about something that doesn't get said enough. There is a version of the rebound that provides real temporary relief. Research does show that for some men, a new relationship can reduce rumination, those intrusive thoughts about your ex that loop at 2 a.m. It can lower immediate psychological distress. So it's not all bad. The problem isn't the relief. The problem is mistaking the relief for healing. Only 18% of rebound relationships develop into long-term partnerships lasting 3 or more years. 73% end in less than 6 months. And when a rebound ends, especially for a man who used it to avoid processing the first loss, the grief that surfaces isn't just about the rebound. It's the original grief, plus the new loss, plus the shame of having used someone, plus the exhaustion of having run from your own feelings for months. That's a collapse, not a setback. This is what I mean when I say men crash harder after rebounds. Not that men are more fragile, but that the crash is delayed, compounded, and almost entirely invisible until it isn't. And when it hits everything. Sleep, work, the next relationship, how you see yourself.
A 2025 global review found something that I think every man needs to hear. Relationship loss is one of the strongest and least discussed triggers for male mental health crises. Separated men under 34 are up to 8 times more likely to die by suicide than their married peers. 8 times. And the immediate aftermath of a breakup is identified as the highest risk window. This isn't about being dramatic. This is about understanding that what you're carrying has real weight. And carrying it alone, in silence, while pretending to be fine, that is genuinely dangerous. Honey Singh, one of the biggest names in Indian music, opened up just this week about his life after divorce. He said something that stayed with me. You came alone, and you will leave alone. There's a kind of brutal honesty in that. Not hopelessness, just the recognition that no other person can carry your grief for you. Not your friends, not your rebound, not your ex if she came back. The work is yours. So what does the crash actually look like? Because I want you to be able to recognize it in yourself or in someone you love. It doesn't always look like crying. Often it looks like anger, irritability that comes out of nowhere, snapping at people who don't deserve it. It looks like emotional unavailability, being physically present in the new relationship, but somewhere else entirely. It looks like comparing, noticing that she doesn't laugh the same way, doesn't cook the same, doesn't know your coffee order, and hating yourself for noticing. It also looks like rushing. Rebound relationships often move fast, not because the connection is deep, but because speed feels like certainty. If we're already talking about moving in together, then this must be real. If she's already meeting my friends, then I must be over it. The pace is a performance for yourself mostly. And then there's the identity piece, which I think is the most underestimated part of male heartbreak. For a lot of men, a long-term relationship becomes part of how they understand themselves, who they are, what their life looks like. When that ends, it's not just losing a person, it's losing the version of yourself that existed inside that relationship. And a rebound can temporarily restore that sense of self. I'm someone's partner again. I'm wanted again. I'm okay. But it's borrowed identity, and borrowed things have to be returned. Here's the reframe I want to offer you, and I want you to sit with this because it goes against almost everything you've been told. The crash after a rebound isn't a sign that you're broken. It's a sign that your grief is finally finding the door. The numbness cracked, the distraction stopped working, and underneath it, there you are, feeling everything you didn't let yourself feel 3 months ago. That's not failure. That's the beginning of something real. So what do you actually do with this? Not in some abstract, take care of yourself way, but practically, right now, this week, because I think you deserve something more specific than a platitude. First, name what you actually lost. Not just the person, the specific things. The Sunday mornings, the way she knew when something was wrong before you said anything. The person you were when you were with her. Write it down if you have to. Grief that isn't named stays formless, and formless grief is the kind that leaks into everything else. Name it. Give it a shape. That's the first step toward carrying it with intention instead of being ambushed by it. Second, find one person to tell the truth to, not to perform your pain for, not to get advice from. Just one person who can sit with you in it. Research is consistent on this. Men who actively seek emotional support after a breakup recover measurably faster than men who don't. Not because talking magically fixes things, but because grief shared is grief that doesn't have to be carried alone. It doesn't have to be a therapist. It can be a friend, a brother.
anyone who won't immediately try to fix it or minimize it. Third, if you're in a rebound right now, you don't necessarily have to end it, but you do have to be honest with yourself about what it is. Is this genuine connection, or is this a place to hide? There's no shame in either answer, but there's real damage in pretending one is the other. The new person deserves honesty, and more than that, you deserve honesty, because you can't build something real on a foundation you haven't told the truth about. And fourth, give yourself the thing nobody told you were allowed to give yourself: time. Not as a passive waiting room, but as active recovery. The bad pancake theory gets this right. You can't rush the healing. You can only move through it. And moving through it means letting yourself feel the loss, not just filling the space where it used to live. The heaviness you felt this morning, that's not a sign you made the wrong choice. It's a sign you're human. It's a sign that what you lost mattered. And things that matter deserve to be grieved properly, not outrun. The crash after the rebound is your nervous system asking you, finally, to stop running, to sit down, to feel it. And when you do, when you actually let yourself feel it, that's when the real recovery starts, not before.
If anything in this video felt like it was written specifically for you, that's not a coincidence. There's a video on this channel about what grief actually looks like in men who've been told their whole lives not to show it. It goes deeper into the patterns we've touched on today. I'll link it at the end. And if you're in a dark place right now, not just sad, but genuinely struggling, please reach out to someone. A friend, a hotline, a therapist. You don't have to carry this alone. You were never supposed to.